Good morning. Welcome to today's first lesson on strategies number 11 and number 12. I will start with a discussion on strategy number 11, staff balance. Staff balance is, as I have said, strategy number 11. It is one of the most important strategies for the prevention and the detection of fraud and corruption. What does staff balance mean? Staff balance means an optimum mix of employees in order to reduce the chances of collusion and the temptations to perpetrate fraud or corruption due to perceived job insecurity. This is going to be clear from the following. Number one, ratio balance. When we are talking about staff balance, we have number one to talk about ratio balance. If possible, organizations should not have staff of one race only, but mix different races. Why? When this happens, then the chances of collusion are reduced. The perception of staff or the attitude of staff to think that the organization belongs to them and belongs to them as a personal property, as a group, is reduced. Number two, tribal and clan balance. One tribe or clan is represented in an organization, then there is danger of the staff to think that the organization belongs to their clan or to their tribe, and therefore they may tend to think that the organization or a company belongs to them as their own property, and therefore they can do whatever they wish with it or to it. Collusion is easy, and an organization can be defrauded big time. Places where there are a lot of tribes and clans, like in Africa and in many other developed or developing countries, the organization that is serious enough in fighting fraud and corruption should ensure that in every department there is a right mix of people from different clans, from different tribes, from different races, so that it is not easy to collude, it is not easy to gang up against the organization. Where people from one clan or tribe are employed in a department, for example, they speak the same language, they come from the same locality. They tend to think that they can do anything they wish with the organization or to the organization. They think that the organization really belongs to them, and it is their property, and therefore they can easily collude to do whatever they wish, to defraud in the way they want, and the organization might lose full time. Relatives, that is number Number three, relatives. Too many relatives in an organization or in a department will make it appear as a family affair, and the result is disastrous. Just imagine a situation where a department, for instance, is manned completely with close relatives, a husband being deputized by a wife or a son, and vice versa. Collusion is very easy in this kind of situation because if a husband is a director of finance, for example, and the wife is deputy director or head of treasury, then the collusion here may not take place directly, but if wife is found defrauding, then the finance director might wink, might decide to look to the other side, might decide to ignore, or at worst, he might even cover up the tracks of the wife's fraudulent activities. After all, the proceeds are coming to the family. And the same would happen if the son is employed in the same department and the son decides to defraud. The father or the mother might decide to look at the other side and ignore what the son is doing, or uh, when worse comes to worse, the mother or the father might decide to cover up. I'm not saying that there must be fraud when relatives are deputizing each other. No, it might depend on the integrity and personal principles, ethical principles of the people. But in most cases, you will find that when that situation occurs, uh, fraudulent activities will happen and they will be covered up. Number four, gender balance. Men and women are known to moderate each other, so it is good to mix them at the workplace to reduce chances of wrongdoing. And if it starts happening, a man or woman could easily label and report it. When an organization or um, a department has got good balance, optimum balance between men and women, then you will expect that fraudulent collusion will be reduced. But if the department is uh, manned by or staffed by one gender, then you might expect more collusion because uh, they might speak the same language. They might speak the same language in quotes, that is a woman to woman and a man to man, and then the organization will be defrauded big time. Women are easily are risk averse, and therefore, as men try to venture into fraudulent activities, women will easily go back and report the matter to the authorities because women do not like risking losing their jobs like men. That is why men and women should be mixed well in at the workplace so that the, the chances of reporting wrongdoing are increased or enhanced. Regional balance. That is number 4. Regional balance. If the organization has national operations, then staff should be drawn from all regions covered by the company's or organization's operations, so that one region does not claim dominance and make the organization look like theirs. Regional balance, when staff come from different regions and they are mixed, properly mixed up, mixed in the organization, then the chances of collusion and therefore the risk of fraud or corruption is greatly reduced. Number 5. Number 6. Qualifications and experience. Here, I'm talking about the commensuration of the job responsibilities with qualification and experience of the individual staff. When the job requirements in terms of skills and experience are out of balance with the staff skills and experience, then you expect errors, others intentional, others unintentional, due to frustration on the part of the staff. A frustrated staff is most likely to give in to temptations to defraud the organization. The staff who is not confident on his job because he does not have the requisite qualifications and experience, and also skills required to carry out the job, might be, and in most cases, he or she is frustrated. And if she's frustrated, uh, she will feel insecure in the position or in the job, and therefore might be tempted to try to perpetrate fraud, to try to perpetrate fraud, so that he or she may uh, have a fund to fall back on once the her services or his services has been terminated. This is because if one is not confident and is not doing the job well, he knows or she knows for sure that soon or later she will be terminated because of incompetence. And therefore, this may lead to temptation to try and defraud the organization so that he or she may have something to fall on once the services have been terminated. Notable example, I was told of a director who always wanted to see his tribesmen in key positions. One time, a vacancy arose of a senior accountant in charge of suppliers' accounts that amounted to hundreds of millions of dollars. The director bulldozed the human resources director into promoting a super salesman to the position of a senior accountant. The salesman had some accounting knowledge, but was going to lead fully qualified professional accountants. The job proved too much for him, and one day he was overheard saying that he did not see future in that position since he was sure of being discontinued due to his incompetence. To create self-branding for himself after termination, he started taking kickbacks from suppliers for paying them twice and some of them 3 years. His staff knew what he was doing, but he decided to keep quiet since they were not considered for the promotion. After a probation period of 6 months, he was confirmed against his expectation, but he continued with this business of kickback taking for 3.5 years when it was discovered that he had defrauded the organization millions of dollars. Age. There should be good mix of employees with different age groups so that it is not easy to collude and steal from the employer. Research has shown that people of same age group easily agree and collude to defraud than those of different age groups. Let us take, for example, if a department is headed by a middle-aged person and deputized by a young person, let's say around 30, around 28, 30, and the rest of the staff are mixed between middle-aged and young people between the ages of 22 and 30. In this situation, it will not be easy for these people to collude to steal from the employer because those who are elderly are already preparing for their retirement and will not like to spoil their names when they are about to retire. Whereas the young people, the youth, would be in a hurry to defraud and get the whatever they want as soon as possible. So their attempts will be thwarted by the elder people who are more conservative and will be able to report any suspected wrongdoing. How can the staff balance in assisting, deterring, preventing, and detecting fraud or corruption? Staff balance can do and to assist in deterring, preventing, and detecting fraud and corruption in the following ways. A. Diminishing opportunities for collusion. An organization that has a good mix of the young, old, male, female employees experiences, sorry, an organization that has good mix of the young, old, male, and female employees experiences less instances of wrongdoing than the one that has balanced employees and balanced employees. If the young wishes to have cooperation of the old to steal, for instance, the old are likely to review since he or they see that as a risk of losing their accumulated retirement benefits. They will not accept because that will make them lose their accumulated retirement benefits. You should know, you should note here that ladies are on average not ready to cooperate in perpetrating fraud or corruption in organizations and the government. That is why very few ladies are caught in such instances. On the other hand, young men of this generation are on average easily swayed into this kind of offenses in order to get into quick riches. If an organization has a majority of them, is at risk of being defrauded. B. Increases the perception of deception, of detection. Proper mix of employees increases the perception of detection It creates a feeling that some people are watching. If they cannot easily cooperate, it means that they could be watching for any signs of wrongdoing and report it. This feeling creates deterrence in the hearts of the could-be wrongdoers. C. Increases thorough counter-checking of the other's work. Good staff balance enables effective segregation of duties and a thorough counter-checking. This deters wrongdoing, and any wrongdoing can easily be detected. D. Enhancing the perception of job security. When qualified and experienced personnel are given tasks that give them fair challenge, they feel confident and secure on their jobs, and therefore no need for creating funds to fall back on after termination due to poor performance. From the example narrated above, the senior accountant decided to defraud the organization because he was not properly qualified and he felt insecure on the position of senior accountant, and therefore decided to steal as much as possible, to defraud as much as possible, so that he could get funds or a fund to fall back on after his termination. Conclusion. While staff balance seems to play a greater role in the fight against corruption, proper mix of employees and sorry, proper mix of employees improve the fight against corruption immensely. The management of every company must come up with a proper way to balance their staff in the war against fraud and corruption, so that that war is won. Careless employment and deployment of staff to do various tasks within an organization must be avoided. That is the end of my discussion on strategy number 11. Now I move very fast to strategy number 13, number 12. Strategy number 12 is stern disciplinary action against offenders. Stern disciplinary action against offenders is strategy number 12. We must fight fraud. We must fight both the tigers and the flies, conducting thorough investigations into corruption cases involving leading officials, and working hard to resolve many problems of corruption that directly affect the people. We must make no exception when it comes to party discipline and state laws, and ensure that all those violate the organization discipline law procedures or codes of conduct are reprimanded. Whoever they are and whatever power or official position they have. According to my own research, stern disciplinary action against offenders is one of the best deterrence strategies that can ever be implemented by any organization. Fraudsters know that their actions are prosecutable, but are not prepared for court cases. So it goes without saying that if they are certain that if caught, they will definitely be not only be dismissed, but handed over for prosecution, they will rather choose not to defraud. When staff are aware that prosecution, stand prosecution, stand disciplinary action will follow their wrongdoing, they would rather avoid the wrongdoing. Fraudsters do not want to be detected. They don't want to be punished. So if they know that the organization will be uh, very stern on them, they will take any wrongdoing seriously and support prosecution to the end. Then they will rather avoid fraud and corruption. But if they know that they can perpetrate fraud and corruption and get away with it, then they will get encouraged to perpetrate more and more. The summary dismissal of suspected employees without taking them through thorough disciplinary process sends out wrong signals as follows. Number one, that the management does not take the fraud or corruption incident seriously. Serious. Number two, that it is easy to defraud and get away with the offense, since being dismissed without any disciplinary process is not painful and it leaves the suspect with the looted cash. And three, that if one is frustrated and wants to resign, the best thing to do is to defraud and then let management dismiss him or her, and then he or she walks out with cash that may be more than the accrued benefits. The above three signals will encourage more and more employees to attempt defrauding their organization. It therefore goes without saying that organizations which dismiss staff without taking them through thorough disciplinary action are doing a lot of injustice and a lot of harm to their own organization. They are motivating other staff to, to carry out or to perpetrate the same offenses. The following are the methods that are used in disciplining errant employees. Number one, suspensions. Suspension from work without pay is the temporary removal of an employee from performing his or her work duties and from receiving pay as a disciplinary measure. Many employers who have progressive discipline policies use unpaid suspension for employee misconduct, such as theft, unsafe work behavior, and the company policy violations. FG.org. Number two, transfers. In my own opinion, transfers are not a form of disciplinary action and instead involve movement to hardship areas or outside the country, away from family members. Those who argue against this form of punishment say that it is not wise to transfer wrongdoers from one region to the other, since this might be a means of spreading the wrongdoing. The suspect might transfer bad behavior to innocent staff in the new location. This form of punishment is commonly used by governments. Governments sort of guarantee employment security to civil servants, and therefore suspected staff are usually transferred to new locations to disrupt their corruption networks. It is, however, self-defeating, since corrupt officers quickly build new networks in the new location, bad people to attract bad people quickly. Underscore this. Bad people do attract bad people quickly. Three, dismissals with benefits. Dismissals with benefits is a form of discipline for suspected accomplices. Organizations must be very careful here since they can be sued for wrongful dismissal. If there is no tangible evidence to support the action taken, the court might rule against the organization. I have seen such many cases where organizations were ordered to pay compensation for wrongful dismissal to the tune of millions. Number four, dismissals without benefits. Dismissals without benefits is a form of discipline for suspects of gross misconduct and there is undisputed evidence. This mostly involves those suspects who are handed over to the police for prosecution as part of the punishment process. Number five, delaying promotions. This happens in minor offenses or deliberate omissions or commissions. The suspects of wrongdoing are put on waiting list for promotion until they reform and they promise never to go back to such such acts again. Number six, dismiss and re-employ with new terms. Dismiss and re-employ with new terms is another form of discipline that usually gives the suspect a lot of emotional stress. This usually leads to self-soul searching and most likely leads to repentance and reformation. It serves as a stern warning to other employees against perpetrating wrongdoing at the workplace. Seven, demotions. Closely related to the above point is the use of demotions against those who have been suspected of using their leadership positions for perpetrating corruption or fraud. They are painful and they usually lead to resignations. The good thing is that they have deterrence effect on other employees. Number eight, handing over to the police for further investigation and prosecution. All suspects against whom there is adequate evidence must be handed over to the police for further investigation and prosecution. They must be prosecuted for criminal offenses alleged and then civil litigation for the recovery of the proceeds of fraud or corruption after they have been found guilty and imprisoned so that when they complete serving their sentences, they do not find anything to use. This is the greatest forms of deterrence to the remaining staff. Prosecution as an independent strategy against fraud and corruption is discussed later. Disciplinary committee. Disciplinary committee is a department or a section of an organization that is formed according to policy or the law to hear, examine, and adjudicate on allegations of offenses or misconduct within an organization. This committee should consist of at least five heads of departments, whereby heads of human resources, finance, legal, and security must be included. Its mandate is from the organization disciplinary policy or an act of parliament in the case of professional or statutory organizations. The following are the principles of good and effective disciplinary processes. Number one, consistency. The rules of the committee must be seen to be consistent in practice. The disciplinary process steps from beginning to end should be similar and consistently applied to all cases arising from within the organization, be they harassment or financial misconduct. Anything to the contrary will definitely signal bias and incompetence. Number two, fairness and impartiality. The deliberations and decisions of the committee must be seen to be fair and impartial all through. All members of the committee must be understood to be independent-minded, and they should be seen to be excluding themselves from proceedings where there may be conflict of interest. Number three, use of evidence. The disciplinary committee should be guided by thorough internal investigation so that they have proper grounds against the suspects. Where evidence is overwhelming, the committee must recommend for stern action as having the suspect arrested by the police and taken through prosecution. Conclusion on strategy number 12. The establishment of a sound system of stern discipline will go a long way in deterring wrongdoing in organizations. Thank you very much for listening, and bye-bye. In almost 10 to 12 hours from now, I will be coming online for another lesson today.